Travis Etienne is one of the best running backs in all of college football. He's the all-time best running back in ACC football history, and his 3-year career at Clemson was pretty spectacular. Going into the 2021 NFL Draft, it's a neck-and-neck race between him and Alabama's Najee Harris as who is the best running back in this year's class. Well, today we're going to talk about Travis Etienne's story, his illustrious career at Clemson, and what the scouts think and why he could be the hidden gem of the 2021 NFL running back draft class, and he's even gotten comparisons to Barry Sanders. Today we're going to talk about all of that and more, but first, if you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit that like button as it'll help the video get in the algorithm so more people can see the video and the channel will grow more. Subscribe to both this channel and my new basketball channel, and I'll leave a link down to that in the comment section as I would really appreciate that. Let me know what player I should take a look at next, and turn on post notifications so you never miss when I upload. Now let's go ahead and get started and talk about Travis Etienne. Growing up in Louisiana, Travis was born and raised in SEC territory, as he was actually a Bama fan from the start. While growing up, he was raised in a very religious and humble household, and he was always the kind of kid you wanted to be around. He was tremendous at football from a young age, and it really began to show when he got to Jennings High School. He was an absolute stud for the team, and as he got further along, he was going to be the next great running back out of the state of Louisiana. He originally wasn't highly recruited because he was from a small town, and he didn't attend that many high-profile football camps. He loved to hang out with his friends and be a kid, but he would have to change his lifestyle if he wanted to be a big-time recruit. His first major offer was Kansas, even though that isn't exactly major. Offers from schools such as Missouri, Arkansas, and Mississippi State. He blew up after that and ran a 4.38 at a recruiting camp, and then all the big schools came knocking such as LSU, Texas A&M, and Tennessee. But Travis always had a dream school deep down, and it was the Clemson Tigers, but unfortunately, he just wasn't getting interest from them. He was a 4-star recruit by that time, and definitely one of the better backs in the country, but a school like Clemson can get any kid that they want. He remembers going to his high school coach and continually asking him if Clemson had reached out, and he always left the room disappointed. With that dream kind of being on the back burner, he started seriously evaluating his other options, and after a really good visit, he decided it would be best for him to commit to Texas A&M and become an Aggie. He apparently loved the program, and it was somewhat close to home, so it seemed like a done deal. Eventually, Travis walked back into his high school coach's office one day and said he thinks that he committed too early. Turns out he wasn't 100% committed and announced that he was going to reopen his recruitment. This came as a surprise to some, but many expected Travis would be playing at an even higher level than A&M. The consensus was that he was likely going to stay home and be the next running back for LSU. With so many good backs such as Leonard Fournette and Darius Geis, it seemed to make sense that he'd become a Tiger. They were right, he would become a Tiger, just not a purple and gold one. Clemson originally had their running back, and his name was Cordarian Richardson. He was a top 100 player, and he was supposed to be the future of the position, but everything changed when Richardson backed out of his commitment and joined UCF instead. Travis clearly remembers the Clemson coaching staff calling him and telling him to tune into their national championship game. The Tigers were set to play Alabama in the Natty, and the Etienne family was almost certain the Tide were going to roll over Clemson. Except it didn't happen like that. In one of the best national championship games ever, Watson completed a pass to Hunter Renfrow, and Clemson got its first national title under Dabo Swinney. After the game, his family was shocked at what had happened, and that was the moment he knew he wanted to play for Clemson. Some staff came down to Jennings High School the following week, and they came in and sold their program to him. Travis wanted to go there, but now the feeling was mutual, and the rest was history. Dabo nabbed Etienne out of LSU territory, and oh boy would they make him pay for missing out on him. According to 24/7 Sports, Travis was a 4-star recruit, the number 15 running back prospect, and the 213th best player in the class of 2017. His dream had come true, and now he was ready to go dominate for one of college football's most prestigious programs. Going into the 2017 season, the Tigers were going into their 9th full season under head coach Dabo Swinney, and his coordinators were to help set up a game plan that helped him succeed. With the departure of Deshaun Watson, the Tigers were going to need to find a new quarterback. They had Kelly Bryant and big-time recruits Zarek Cooper and Hunter Johnson competing for the job, but many assumed that Kelly was actually going to win it. At running back, they had lost Wayne Gallman to the NFL, and it was going to be a battle between Tavian Feaster, Adam Choice, and Travis Etienne for the starting job. Nevertheless, Clemson was expected to be really good, and they opened up the season against Kent State. In that game, Etienne would rush the ball for 81 yards and a touchdown, but in their big non-conference game against Auburn, he did not play. He'd get his chance to play in a big game though against number 14 Louisville, and in that game he ran for 98 yards and a touchdown on only 6 carries. Clemson continued to do a running back by committee game plan, but Travis played really well when he touched the ball. He ran for 113 yards against Boston College, 97 yards and 2 scores against Florida State, and 62 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Citadel, but he wasn't a star quite yet. Clemson started out 5-0 before they lost on the road to Syracuse in what became one of the weirder upsets of the decade. With their college football playoff hopes on life support, they won out and went 12-1, including wins over number 20 NC State, number 24 South Carolina, and number 7 Miami in the ACC Championship game. They would get back to the college football playoff, but this team just wasn't that good as they got blown out in the rematch against Alabama. As a freshman, Travis led the team in rushing as he ran for 766 yards and 13 touchdowns while averaging over 7 yards per carry. Going into the 2018 season, the quarterback question was likely going to be answered as Kelly Bryant was returning, and if he failed, they had the best quarterback high school recruit of all time in Trevor Lawrence. Etienne was named to the preseason watch list for the Doak Walker Campbell Award and was expected to break out, which is exactly what he would do. He actually started out the season pretty slow. While Trevor Lawrence and Kelly Bryant were sorting out their drama, Travis began to emerge as a star as he ran for 162 yards and 2 touchdowns against Georgia Southern, 203 yards and 3 scores against Syracuse, 167 yards and 3 touchdowns against Wake Forest. But he'd kind of cool off, as besides games against Louisville and South Carolina, he was pretty much a non-factor. To this point, Clemson looked like the best team in the country with Lawrence running the show. They survived that scare against Syracuse when Chase Bryce had to save the day, but besides that, it was smooth sailing for the rest of the regular season. The ACC wasn't very good, and they returned to the championship game with a 12-0 record, where they would dismantle Pitt behind 156 yards and 2 scores from Etienne. To this point, Travis was near the top in running yards, touchdowns, and yards per carry, and Clemson was headed back to the college football playoff, where they would beat Notre Dame in the first round behind 109 yards and a score from Etienne. They matched up once again with Alabama in the national championship game, and I knew Clemson would be hungry in that game, but whoever led their pregame speech deserves a raise, as Clemson won 44-16, and they absolutely humiliated the Crimson Tide on college football's biggest stage. He ran for 86 yards and 2 touchdowns in that game, and they were once again national champions. On the year, Etienne had become a Heisman contender as he rushed for 1,658 yards, 24 touchdowns, and averaged over 8 yards per carry. Clemson opened up the 2019 season as title favorites, and Travis would burst onto the scene in their Week 1 win over Georgia Tech as he ran for over 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like last year, though, he would cool off a little bit as he didn't rush for over 100 yards in his next 4 games, but he would rebound. He then went for 100 plus yards in his next 6 games, including a huge 212-yard performance against Wofford. Literally just like last year, the ACC was terrible, and it was a cakewalk for Clemson all the way to the championship game, except for a tough one against North Carolina. Before they could return, though, they'd have to play number 23 Virginia, and they won that game 62-17. They're once again back in the college football playoff, but it wasn't going to be easy this time. In one of the best college football games I've ever seen, Clemson defeated Ohio State in the Fiesta Bowl after a late interception by Justin Fields. Etienne was a non-factor in the running game, but he did spectacular in the passing game as he had 2 receiving touchdowns. They were set to play Joe Burrow's LSU Tigers, but they were just too much for Clemson to handle as they'd lose the game. You could say LSU stuck it to Etienne for picking Clemson, but he had already had his ring and won a ton of awards. He finished the year with 1,614 yards and 19 touchdowns while rushing 7.8 yards per carry, but I guess he wasn't ready to head to the NFL just yet, as he decided to come back. As a senior, he didn't have the year many probably expected, but it was historical to say the least. After he went over Boston College, Etienne finished with 2 touchdowns and a career-high 264 all-purpose yards. With the performance, he scored a touchdown in 42 games, breaking Donnell Pumphrey's record for the most in FBS history. Etienne also broke the ACC career rushing record previously held by Ted Brown with 4,952 yards. He helped them get back to the college football playoff where they lost to Ohio State, and just like that, his career was over, and many see him as the best running back in the 2021 NFL draft class, with Najee Harris being the only other guy who could even make an argument for it. Quote, the first trait that stood out about Etienne is his extraordinary speed. He has sprinter's agility that makes him a threat to take any touch of the ball the length of the field for a touchdown. With his first step quickness and burst to the hole, Etienne gets to the second level in a hurry and can explode down the field. He can take away angles from defenders while running away from the defense. Once Etienne breaks into the open field, he's simply too fast to get caught from behind. On top of being very fast, Etienne demonstrates very good running fundamentals, like the patience to let holes develop, the vision to see lanes about to come open, and good body lean to run behind his pads. While Etienne is not a big back, he flashes some nice contact balance to maintain his feet after contact, and he has a nose for the end zone. There were some plays in college where he picked up yards after contact and just ran through some tackles, but those won't happen in the NFL given the bigger and stronger defenders. He cannot be expected to be a back who runs over tacklers and picks up a lot of yards after contact. The senior displayed more toughness, physicality, and the ability to pick up yards after contact in 2020, but running over tacklers in the NFL won't be his calling card. In the 2021 NFL Draft, Etienne looks like a potential pick in the late first round or early on in the second round, and one site even said he's a bigger version of Barry Sanders, which is just a crazy comparison. I don't know if he'll necessarily live up to that, but he does have some flaws in his game for sure. The only knock on him is that he had a lot of fumbles, his frame's a bit small, his blitz protection needs work, and his usage in short yardage situations probably wasn't the best. I think that Etienne is the safest running back pick for this year's draft, and he could be the best one when it's all said and done. I do believe this year's running back crop is definitely down, and I don't see anyone who's truly elite, but Etienne has a chance to push to be the best one. But what do you guys think? If you're a Clemson fan, let me know what you think of Travis Etienne, and how do you guys think he will translate to the NFL? And who you think the best running back in this year's draft class is? I appreciate you guys checking out today's video, so if you want to support what I'm doing here, please be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel and my basketball channel, suggest another topic I should do next, and check out all my other videos on the end screen, including my video about why Rondale Moore is the secret weapon of the draft. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.